Hey monkeys! How you doing? Damian Keyes here. Right, I have a question for you. What are you posting on your social media? And more importantly, do you have a plan? Every day I see bands that are crippled with fear. And by that what I mean is they're not really sure what to post on their social media. So they post nothing at all until it's another one of those marketing, buy my album or come to our gig, do the things that we want to do. And that is not the crux of what we want to be doing with the social media. So this video is all about creative things that you can do with your social media to give it consistency, to give it creativity, and to bring the audience into your world. Come with me on my top 10 ideas for your creating social media content. Number one, a story of the week. Now, one thing I'm a big fan of is creating consistency and pillars. So rather than being inspired to do something on social media, which a lot of the time means nothing happens, you have pillars. You have something which is recorded and planned and posted at the same time each week. So you've got something creative and consistent that you can work towards. Now, if you're gonna do this, I had an idea this week. So I was at an event with the boys from a band called Skindred. Absolutely brilliant guys and full of stories. They've been going for many years, 15, 16 years. They've toured the world. They've had major label deals. They've had indie deals. They've done the whole thing, toured with massive bands. They are just full of fun stories. And when they tell a story, I want to listen. So imagine if they did a story time of the week. Just a 5-minute piece of content, which could be so easy. You could set it up in a really fun way. So one of the guys in Skindred is a guy called Mikey, and he's got this amazing big beard. And he's an interesting guy. He looks interesting, he's funny, and he's just got a good personality, and he's full of stories. Imagine if you just got a really great chair and you sat him down and it was Mikey's story of the week. And it could just be anything over the last 15 years where he's like, I remember this one time when we were on tour with Pantera. Instantly, I'd be like, I want to hear this. I want to hear the story. This is going to be interesting. And in doing that, he's going to engage his fan base. He's going to be doing something interesting and creative and telling a story, which is the crux of today's marketing. And in doing that, he's also creating a pillar, as is the band. Every single week you could do that. Now, I've used them as an example, but you can do this with your band. You can have a story of the week. Every single week can be the same thing. On a Tuesday at 6 o'clock, we put out a 5-minute video, which is George's story of the week, whatever you want it to be. This is a way that you can create a pattern in your social media, but also people will want to come back for the next story, especially if you've got someone in your band who is just charismatic that can tell a good story. Number two, a Facebook Live Q&A. Now we need to start including Facebook Live into our social media. And the reason for that is because Facebook is putting a lot of emphasis on Facebook Live, up to 6 times the amount of reach for a Facebook Live that it will give you if you put just a normal video for your band. It really wants to see you do Facebook Live. So what do? We play the game. We do some Facebook Live. I'll be putting some Facebook Lives in every Monday when I'm around. I'm going to do my best to get that Facebook Live because I want to play the algorithm, and I know Facebook wants to see it, and I know therefore it will take off, it will work. So I want you to start including some Facebook Lives. Now, if you're going to do this, we've got to make it simple. We don't want anything complicated. We want to get the guys together and we want to have a Facebook Q&A. And then what you can do is you can start to wrap up the other social media platforms into this, where you can have the questions could be asked on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram. It gives you more content to go out there. And then once you make this Facebook Live Q&A, you can then rip it off Facebook, you can cut it up, and you can start to distribute that throughout your other social media platforms. This is a way that you can make content for all platforms, but also trigger and play the Facebook algorithm game. Really, really important, and I want to see you guys play that game and do more Facebook Live. Number three, lyrics. Now, I'm not a fan of lyric videos, but I am a fan of learning what lyrics mean. Something that bands don't do. They spend loads and loads of time creating the song and creating the lyrics, and the lyrics mean something and it's potentially a story. And we don't know what it means. So what about every time you do a song, what about doing a piece of content about what the lyrics are, written down, maybe handwritten, because that's really cool, and then a story about what the lyrics mean. Whether it's something that's happened to you, or whether it's something imaginary, or whether it's a story, but actually tell what the lyrics mean. Because otherwise, you just make lyrics, we all sing along and we all think we know what it means, but we want to hear it from the horse's mouth. Not that you're a horse, but we want to hear it from your mouth. We want to hear what your lyrics mean. We're in your journey, so take us on your journey and tell us what these lyrics mean. Number 4, the time limit challenge. Now this is an interesting one. You can take practically anything, but add a time limit, make it into a bit of a challenge, and all of a sudden it becomes interesting. So what about if you wrote a song? Fine, we write songs every single day, but you add in a time limit of 5 minutes and you record the whole thing, and from start to finish, you've got to go from nothing to an entire song with a 5-minute countdown. All of a sudden it becomes interesting. I want to see that. I want to see what you can do in 5 minutes. You can make content if you add a time limiter, which automatically just becomes exciting and interesting, and we want to see it. Very similar to the Facebook Live thing. You talk into a camera, interesting. You do it on Facebook Live, ooh, anything can go wrong, then it becomes more interesting. So try doing a piece of content where you add in a time limit and make it a bit of a challenge, and you see that people aren't excited to see what happens by the end of it. Number 5, playlist of the week. Now the biggest question that you need to answer, especially your first impression, is who are you? What do you stand for? Where have you come from and where are you going? Well, a great way to answer this is a playlist. Imagine if every single week you did a top 10 playlist on Spotify, which you then could share on the rest of your platforms. And in your playlist, you could add in some of your own songs, but what you could also add is songs of your past and potentially songs of the direction you are going into the future. This is a way to tell your story via song, and it's so easy to do. You jump on Spotify, you take 10 songs that you want to put into an order, and you make a mini show of it, and you say, guys, this is what we stand for. This is our history. This is where we're going. This is the music that we fit into. Because a big thing for bands is when I ask them, who do you sound like or what do you fit into? So many bands go, oh, yeah, that's really difficult. We don't really sound like anyone else. Well, I understand. You don't want to answer that question. Nobody wants to say, yeah, we sound like Muse. Nobody wants to say that. But there's no reason why you can't answer those questions with a playlist. There's no reason why you can't have a Muse song in there, which is a B-side music song, if you want it to be, that fits in to your sound and your feel and where you are taking this on your journey. So this idea of just putting 10 songs into a playlist that you can share on your social media so people can discover new music, they can discover where you've come from and where you're going, and at the same time just listen to some great music, including yours. Number 6, the throwaway songs. So I saw an interview with Michael Jackson the other day. It was from a while back because he's dead. But he said for every album that he releases, he writes 150 songs. And then he narrows it down to 12 to 15 songs. So effectively, he's writing 10 times more songs than he is going to use on the album. Which leads me to believe, what happened to the other 135 songs? I kind of want to hear those songs. And it's the same thing for most songwriters. You're constantly writing stuff and you're thinking, oh, it's not really good enough for the album. But is it good enough for social media? Because it's a very different thing. Because you'll do a throwaway tweet, you'll do a throwaway picture. So why not say, look, I've written this song. It isn't going to make the album, but I want to play it for you. I want you to hear it because it's still a finished song. It's still from me, and your audience will buy into that. Because can you imagine if Dave Grohl said, I've written a song, I don't really think I'm going to release it. Do you want to hear it? What do we say? We say, yes. Yes, I want to hear it. And we might listen to it and go, yeah, you're right. It's not one of your best, but we still want to hear it. So where do these songs go? I tell you where they go. They should be going on your social media. When you finish a song, you should be in a position where you can record it or perform it to your social media audience with a disclaimer saying, I don't think this song will go anywhere, but I've created it, I've made something, it means something to me, I'm not totally happy with it, but I want you to share in it. That bit's the important bit. I want you to share in this, I want you to listen to it, because you might like it. Number 7, your band's show. Now, I think this is a huge one. Bands just don't do this. Now, if you are a watcher of my content, you know that every week I do a show. And it's very simple. I can walk in, I get questions thrown at me from Twitter, from Instagram, and from Facebook. And Melissa will choose some questions, and I'll sit down and I'll answer the questions to camera, which then gives me a 30 to 40 piece of content, which then gets divvied up. The big piece goes on YouTube. It gets divided up into YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Vero. Go find that one out. And then I'm actually getting more and more content from one thing I did with 30 to 40 minutes. I don't understand why bands don't do that. I don't understand why bands don't put a show on. Like, we all grew up, no matter how old you are, we all grew up with that kind of Saturday morning TV thing where there's like some kind of Saturday morning crazy, there's presenters and there's bands and there's gunge and there's games and there's stuff happening. Well, you could condense all of that into a 30-minute show. You could have performances, you could have guests, you could have audience interaction. You could find ways of actually making your own TV show, your own band TV show. And every single week, you could just do the same thing with all the same ideas, but with different guests or different formats or just different stuff in it to make it really, really interesting. I don't understand why bands don't do that. Why don't you have the band show and you work around it? Because once you've got that piece of content, 30 minutes or so, or however long you want it to be, then you can break it down and you can start to distribute it, promoting the show, promoting the band, and also promoting the rest of your content on other social media. Number 8, the fan of the week. Now, we can't do this without an audience. The audience is the most important thing, which is why it's so frustrating to me when I see bands that just market at an audience, just one audience. You need to do this, 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 and it's all about me, 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 me. And a lot of the times you will get fans, because they are fans of yours, that will do those things. So if you do, appreciate them. Why don't you have some kind of fan appreciation video or picture or some piece of content where you just say, I just want to pick you out because I really appreciate all of our audience, but I just want to say a big thank you to you this week because you are always there for us. You're always commenting on our stuff. You're always putting pictures. You're always adding videos. You're always commenting underneath. You're always liking it. You're always engaging. You're always coming to our shows. So therefore, this piece of content isn't about us. It's about you. And I don't mean you as in the audience. I mean you specifically, because what that will do is it will turn that fan into a super fan. But you know what else it will do? It will turn the rest of your audience into fans because you do things like that. And they want to be in that position. They want you to say thank you to them, and they're more likely to engage and they're more likely to come on your journey. So this is a chance where you can give back. Why not have a thank you of the week or an audience fan thank you of the week? Some way of recognizing the people on the other side of your social media. Number 9, a band competition with forfeit. And the forfeit's the good bit. And what about this? Imagine if you get the audience to choose what the forfeit is for that week. And when it comes to the band competition, it can be anything you want. You can choose different things every week. This week, the band's going to go for a penalty shootout, and we're going to see who wins and who loses, and the loser gets to do a forfeit. This week, we're at a rally driving competition, and we're all going to go for a race, and the winner gets the trophy, but the loser gets to do the forfeit, and the audience gets to choose what that forfeit is. And then, not only are you making content in vlog style form of the band being together, doing something fun, but also you're then getting the forfeit challenge, which you can then video and make a bit of fun of as well. That is loads and loads of content, which you can then divvy up and again, distribute into different platforms. It's a fun thing you can do, it's a creative thing you can do, and it's a really, really strong way that you can get your audience to participate, watch, enjoy it, and get involved at the same time. Number 10, news. And I'm not talking about a T. McD, Trevor McDonald style news broadcast. I'm talking about your news, and not specifically your band's news, but everything that revolves around your world and your genre news, the music industry in the world that you live news. Imagine if you are talking about one of your favorite bands drops a new album and you get to do a review of that album. Or a band that comes to town and announces a tour and they're coming to your town, and you can do a little review and tell people that they're coming to your town. You can even go along with unsigned bands in your territory and say, here's the hot gigs of the week. I'm talking about your news around your band world. That is a way that you can bring people into your world and you can take this journey together. This is easy to do. A little bit of research and you can make it as fun as you want, or if you want to make it serious, you can make it as serious as you want. But this is a way that you can tell people what you stand for and who you love and where you're going. Okay, so those are my 10 ideas. I sat down and I just wrote a bunch of ideas that came into my head. I'm sure I could come up with another 30 ideas, but you can see I'm going for creativity and I'm looking at repetition. I'm looking at what I can do the next week and then keep the same format and do the next week. If you're constantly having to be 100% creative, it's hard. It's like tensing a muscle. You can only do it for a certain amount of time. So make this easier by allowing yourself to have these pillars and not trying to be inspired all of the time. Not be walking down the street and go, now there's the perfect piece of content. Instead, you're actually forcing the process to be inspired by actually adding in the repetition and making your content consistent across the board, and then being able to break that content down and push it out into different platforms. Great, well thanks for watching. I really could do with a like, a subscribe, a share. Great, well thanks for watching guys. I really could do with you hitting the like, comment down below. If you've got any ideas that have worked for you, I would love to hear them. I would love to hear ideas that you do on a weekly basis that I can tell other bands, or I can watch you do them, or I might even be able to nick a few ideas myself. So if you could do me a favor, subscribe, follow, like, whatever channel you're on, hit me in the comments below, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.